The slap heard around the world. I call it Pimp Smack Gate because he just kind of like pimp smacked Chris Rock across the face. Morning after the Oscars, first of all, do people still watch the Oscars? I don't know. I don't. But all over, social media memes, everything I hear about Will Smith smacking Chris Rock across the face. I watched this clip, right, as I'm sure many of you guys have. To give you some context, if you haven't seen it, basically, Chris Rock was hosting the Oscars. He made a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, about her basically having a shaped head. Now, for some context, Jada Pinkett Smith has hair loss. Like, it's something she's struggling with, and that's why she has a shaped head. I didn't know that watching the clip. When I think of Jada Pinkett Smith, I always think of her with short hair or almost no hair, so I thought she was like rocking a look. Anyway, Will Smith goes up on stage, hits Chris Rock. I thought the whole thing was staged. Like, when I saw the clip, there's a weird like delay when he hits him where it looked fake to me, so I thought it was just an act. And I think a lot of other people were under the same impression, even just there at the Oscars, because people are laughing along. And then Will Smith goes back to sit down. Chris Rock is just kind of like taken aback and says, Will Smith just hit me, or something along those lines. And they show Will Smith. Well, actually, even before they show Will Smith, you hear Will Smith yelling at him, like, don't you ever talk about my wife. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is real. And I love Lupita's face in the background, because it's exactly what I think most people thought watching this go on. Going from, ha ha ha, funny to, oh wait, what's happening? What's going on? So I wanted to bring this up because if you look at social media, there's like two camps, and it is a cultural difference to some extent. You have a lot of like Karens, like white women on social media that are outraged, and they're like, he needs to get his Oscar taken away, him meaning Will Smith, toxic masculinity, like throwing out all these buzzwords, right? Like, he needs to do the work spiritually, like aggressive man 101, blah, blah, blah. And then black people, from my experience, black people on social media, particularly Twitter, are like, you reap what you sow. Like, Chris Rock went for it. It is what it is. They just see it as like, you humiliated this man's wife on national television. On top of, she has a health issue. That's why her hair is the way that. So people see it from these two sides of, oh, violence is not cool. And the other side of, well, that's him trying to protect his wife. So this is a really interesting conversation to me, because on a conscious level, and everybody I've talked, even people I've talked to who defended Will Smith, they start off saying violence is never okay. But, and this is one of those, I think, like old school tribalism remnants, where some of us see that, and strangely, like, we wish we had a man like that protecting us. And then other people are like, no, that's toxic. Like, that's a toxic mindset. So I find this topic fascinating. And what it reminds me of is the first date I ever went on. And I've talked about, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to compare it to that. My first date ever, I've told this story before. Basically, I was 21. The man was 30 something. And we go out to dinner. Then we go to this bar, regular bar, like straight bar. Midwinter, there's a loud jazz band playing right there live. So very noisy. But this guy, belligerently drunk, comes up to us. Midwinter, right? So he dangles a glove to make it look like a mistletoe between me and the guy I'm on a date with. And he does it mockingly, like that. He's just like drunk, annoying. And then his friends are in the corner, like laughing at him because he's so drunk. And he points at us and he goes, but it's so loud that I don't know what he's saying. And then I look at him closer. At first, it's like you think the person's like laughing with you, but you're like, I don't know this person, so why are they laughing? Period. Like, what's the joke here? And then it dawned on me that he was saying, look, there's faggots here, faggots. And his friends are laughing in the corner. And I was so embarrassed. And then I start boiling on the inside because I'm like, this is not okay. This is not cool. And again, remember, this is my first date ever. This is like my introduction into dating, gay dating, whatever you want to call it. And the guy I was on a date with did nothing. He did nothing. He just disengaged and was just like focused on me and was like, are you all right? You know? And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not all right. What is this? You know, fix it. And that's how I knew the date was over. And I was just so turned off. And so I look back at that moment and I feel like if that happened today, it would not affect me the same way. And I feel like looking back, the guy I was on a date with, he handled it the adult way, which was he basically pretended it was not happening and he had all eyes on me. And I feel like I would value that today. But back then, and even still to an extent, it's like I want to attract a guy who's going to feel protective of me. Does that mean I want him to start a bar fight? No. But I also remember feeling in that moment like you should be defending me. And at that time, defending me meant a physical intervention. Even if that's just going up to the guy and being like, hey, just go hang out with your friends. Like, leave us alone. We're on a date. I'm not saying you have to throw hands, but just something that's demonstrative of, and the Will Smith thing, I think he could have been more effective and garnered more people's respect if he took Chris Rock aside and, you know, during the commercial break and was like, hey, that's not cool. Like, please don't make jokes about my wife. She's going through XYZ. Or even if he came up on stage and said that, you know, but clearly he did what he did because he wanted the public's reaction. He wanted the public to see I'm defending my wife. And that's what I think is so interesting about this, how much shame plays a role in all of this, right? These conversations and these interactions. Like, he instantly felt like he was being shamed by Chris Rock or that his family's being dishonored in some way, right? So to counter that, and in his mind he's thinking, I'm going to be further shamed, especially by, I think, Black America, if I don't stand up as a man for my wife in this moment. I have to protect my family from the potential shame of this guy dishonoring my wife. So it's about perception and it's about what you're raised to believe, which is why I think so many, from my observation, so many Black people on social media defended him because they understand the perspective. And they understand he probably was raised similarly to me or people I have in my family where this is like how you're supposed to handle stuff. This is how you're supposed to handle conflict or a man saying something about your wife. Meanwhile, a lot of people who don't have that education, don't grow up that way, they see it as like, this is appalling. Like, this is the Oscars and you're just going to go up and smack somebody. For all we know, Chris Rock has no idea about her hair loss, right? Like, if you take that out of the equation, if it was her choice, like she proactively was like, I want to shave my head just because I want to rock a new look, would that garner the same response, right? Would that make a man go up and smack a guy? I don't think so, right? I think it's ego. It's assuming the worst about somebody in that moment, that their intent is shitty. Which, not for nothing, Will Smith and his wife Jada, they're always talking about like spiritual growth and like, you know, I'm on a different wavelength. I'm a student of the universe, and I'm like, that's probably the part that upsets me the most. Like, you can say all that shit if you want, but in that moment, he did succumb to ego and potential shame and all that stuff. So that's the part that annoyed me more than anything, that they're always raving about like, we're on a different spiritual wavelength, like we're doing the work. Well, in that moment, they failed. They both failed miserably. I'm curious what you guys think about this.